Alright, and this is episode 11 of Chatting Hockey on Wheels. And I'm doing this a little bit different this time around. We've got a special guest on the line. I feel like I'm Howard Stern or something. This is a friend that I have connected over none other than the Calgary Flames fan page. This is Melissa Smith.
Hello, thank you for having me.
This is quite different for me, I gotta say. I'm not used to this on the phone stuff, but how are things up your way?
Good. I'm chatting with you from Calgary, Alberta today, and it's currently raining here, but as I mentioned, we've got some fires in the northern part of our province, so we're trying to send some rain up that way and get some supplies up that way for our friends up north.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So you're involved with the group Parachutes for Pets. That's correct?
Yes, I am the founder of Parachutes for Pets, and we help low-income individuals with essential pet care. So we have a pet food bank, we have vet care, we have education programs, and these times are tough for everyone. So even though I say our most vulnerable right now, we're trying to help as many as we can, and in emergency situations like this, we're happy to step up and do what we can.
Oh, that's good. There's a lot of people that don't realize how many different needs there are for different people, right? And I mean,
absolutely.
With the way that inflation is nowadays, is one thing alone. People that have had pets for years are now all of a sudden finding it hard to afford to be able to keep them pets.
You bet, and sometimes it comes down to, are they going to afford their groceries or their dog food or their medication? It's tough decisions to make.
That's right, and I mean, it might not even be a weekly or a monthly occurrence. I mean, it might be a one-time thing where this person, like these examples now with the fires in North, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, they're coming across these issues where they need food, and it's great. I got to say, that's great work that you guys are doing up there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A lot of people down around this way that would definitely need help like that, and your guys' group should be a good example for someone to start up a different,
Well, and as you've seen, we're kind of expanding, so we are hoping to go Canada-wide, which is, something we're striving to do as soon as possible, because you're right, there's a gap for it out there, and it's not something that people think about, right off the bat when they think of charities.
No, that's right. I mean, there's lots of issues that come with natural disasters and debt and inflation. I mean, it's one of those things that people don't necessarily immediately think of, like you said.
Absolutely, and I know that since we're here to talk hockey, I have to give a shout out to our favorite Calgary Flame, Michael Backlund.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he just was nominated today for the King Clancy Award by the Calgary Flames, and I really hope he wins it, because he really does. I know, there's a lot of heat on the team right now, and there's a lot of talk about the behind the scenes, but I can say that, regardless of good year, bad year, Michael Backlund is somebody that supports a variety of organizations, and he comes through for us in the best ways, and he does it quietly, and he is just the greatest advocate and supporter. So I just have to give a shout out and let people know that some of these guys are just fantastic individuals for their communities, and we're really lucky to have them.
No, that's 100% right. I mean, there's not every hockey player is involved with their community, and I mean, from what I can see through you and what I can see through other social medias, Michael Backlund does an excellent job in his local community, and I think the Calgary Flames are not only lucky to have him on the ice, but they're also lucky to have him in the community.
Absolutely, and I mean, I personally hope he gets the captaincy. I don't know a better candidate. He leads by example, and he's not afraid to come out and come to our facility and get roll his sleeves up. He's just not afraid to. It's amazing. His whole family's great.
That's great. I'm wearing the jersey that you very kindly sent me.
Amazing.
I had to wear it, of course. That was why would I wear anything else?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but no, 100% Backlund deserves that captaincy more than anyone else that I know on the team. Brandon Tanev is another good example of for the team wise, right? I mean, he's alternate captain right now, and I believe that he should be still in that role for alternate captain.
Yeah, and I mean, we might see some changes coming up because we have so many UFAs coming up on this next year. So it's a little stressful for those of us in Calgary right now.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's up and down like a roller coaster, right? I mean, I feel like a Leafs fan in the playoffs. You got the highs and the lows, right? I mean, last year we went right to the second round. We looked strong, and I mean, we had a horrible showing against the Oilers, right? But now, I mean, here we are. We missed the playoffs, and I mean, only by a few points. And now we're talking about, we just lost a GM, Brad Treliving, and now we got the coach on. I mean, the coach was the right decision, but I think it should have been done before Treliving had walked.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic here. It's a very hot topic here, and Brad Treliving is very well respected, and he was also somebody that's very involved in the community. And so it was kind of devastating to. I mean, obviously he probably wanted to change, and I'm sure he has a bright future ahead because of the respect he has in the industry. But it was a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, it's not good, and I mean, we got a lot of free agents sawing. I mean, you want to sawing back as many players as you can. Who we lose is up in the air right now. Obviously, I mean, we don't know the ins and outs of all that stuff, but. It wasn't just us that had problems with Sutter looking at it from the outside in. I mean, there's multiple players that have spoke out against Sutter and his coaching ways and the way he just, talks in the locker room. There's a lot of people, Mackenzie Weegar was one person that spoke out this week.
That was a pretty explosive conversation he had.
Yeah, no, for sure. He had stated that Michael Backlund, speaking of Backlund, was one of the main targets in the room, usually from Sutter. However, of course, now Sutter was the one that they had said was the reason why there was no captain named this season, because Sutter didn't want one. So of course he still managed to pick on Backlund, and gives you the kind of hint in the back of your mind that maybe he even thought that Backlund deserved that captaincy.
Well, and I think it's an interesting probably dynamic as well, because he was the one that drafted Michael back in, I believe it was 2007.
Yeah.
So they definitely have a long history there, and it's fascinating to me how Darryl went from being the Jack Adams winner last year to unfortunately being unemployed right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's three coaches actually. All three nominees of the Jack Adams Award are all currently unemployed.
That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, it speaks volumes. Andrew Brunette was on the Florida Panthers, and he's gone. And I mean, we got Gerard Gallant. I mean, he's an Eastern Canadian. He was fired from the New York Rangers, and I mean, to what end? I mean, we don't know the ins and outs of it all, of course, but I mean, the Rangers had a stacked team that just, didn't come to terms with what they had to do. Like, I mean, a lot of people say Gerard Gallant is another old-timey coach that likes to use, I'll say, backwards mentality to try to get his team to perform, right? So, I mean, is he a good option to replace Darryl Sutter? I mean, he was the first person to come to my mind when I seen that he had, that was the first thing to come to my mind when I seen that Gallant was fired.
I find it really interesting. So obviously, those of us in Calgary are keeping a close eye on the Florida series because we still have a heart for Matthew Tkachuk, and we have Sam Bennett, right?
Yeah.
Who we lost here, and it is interesting because I mean they have Paul Maurice, who I think we all saw the words he spouted behind the bench before the season was over when he was really angry with them against Toronto. And then also Matthew's dad, Chuck, came out and said they were soft.
Yeah.
And, I think we all saw the Maple Leafs fans chanting, "We want Florida." now it's interesting because definitely a tougher coach, but something turned in that team, and they're having a heck of a playoff run.
Yeah, no, Florida is my favorites right now. I mean, it's not because of Kachuk or Bennett, right? I mean, even though I was always a Bennett fan, when he played in the bubble against Dallas that time,
yeah.
I think Bennett was our best player in the bubble.
Yeah, I agree.
And
He's
it's sad.
Playoff player.
Yeah, 100% big playoff player, right? I mean, he's performing point-wise a lot better in Florida, yes, but a playoff player, you're 100% right there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a little unfortunate because he left shortly after Darryl came in, and I mean, obviously he wanted to change and stuff, but I wonder what would have happened if he would have stuck around a little longer last year in the playoffs.
Yeah,
we maybe would have been a little bit more depth that we were missing.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the Battle of Alberta was reignited 2 years ago, and when it was coming up that we were potentially seeing Edmonton in the second round, right? I mean, everybody was excited. Now, I mean, I don't know if grit was the thing that we were missing. I mean, we didn't score enough in that series, obviously, but I mean, players like Sam Bennett are players that, you look at what he's doing in Florida right now. He's getting that play to move forward, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's aggressive and he can score, right? I mean, he's a very good pairing for Kachuk. And I mean, yeah. I was quite angry, honestly, when Kachuk wanted out right after Johnny left, because I was saying, well, if we get a good free agent pickup in the summer, I mean, it won't be too bad. And then when Kachuk said that he wanted out, it was rough going, right?
That was tough too, and then we got Trudeau kind of pulled magic when he got us Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar back, which was really, really exciting for us fans here, because we were on a roller coaster. We were devastated knowing that Matthew wanted to leave, and it was like, are we going to get really anything back? So we were really, really excited, and it was just a really tough year.
It has been, yes, it has. And I mean, I feel the effects of that down here too, right? I mean, I know a few Flames fans around here. There's not really dozens and dozens of us, but I mean, the ones that I've spoke to, they all feel the same way, right? I mean, we got blindsided by these two players that didn't want to stick around. I mean, Huberdeau and Weegar are great pickups. Now, I mean, you can blame Sutter for Huberdeau not performing the way he did his last year in Florida. But I think if we get a good coach behind the bench, I think you'll see Huberdeau hit the 82-point mark again, right?
I sure hope so. I think, even for himself, he was, that couldn't have been an easy transition. All of a sudden you're in Florida, you get uprooted without much notice. You get sent to Calgary where you're not driving your Lamborghini. It's, minus 30.
Yeah.
The rink, obviously our arena isn't as nice as probably what he had down there. So, I mean, what a crazy transition to go from.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're having struggles on the ice and stuff. So I think, I'm hoping next year is a really good fresh start for everybody.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot that's got to happen between now and then, and I'm hoping that there's enough morale there to keep the team together, right?
Yeah, and I think just little local media reports and stuff say that they're hoping to have a GM announced in the next couple of weeks so they can be ready for the draft.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully there's a lot of people here that are really hoping for Craig Conroy, because he's, been a part of the organization forever, well-loved in the community. But, I mean, obviously we want to make sure you get the best guy for the job. So there's been some interviews going on, and my understanding is that they really want the GM to have an active role in choosing the coach.
Yeah.
So it all sounds good.
No, yeah, for sure.
Sounds like we're trending in that direction.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, a lot of people say Craig Conroy, and I mean, he may be a very good GM. We don't really know. We don't really know the extent of how good he is at his job. Doing what he's doing, not from a fan standpoint. But I mean, it's they seem to try to lean towards former players more so for roles on teams. I mean,
everyone got really excited here because obviously Jerome McGinley is a huge part of our history in Calgary, and he was in town a couple weeks ago doing a charity event, and so everyone got really excited, and they were like, "We want Iginla, we want Iginla." So I think if he were to ever kind of take that leap right now, it sounds like he's coaching his son's team for another year. But I think if he ever wanted to test out something in operations or management, he'd be very welcome here.
That's right. No, I mean, a guy that was a captain of the team, I mean, he would definitely know how to talk to a locker room. But you look at Wayne Gretzky, when Wayne Gretzky coached the Arizona Coyotes, like, that's well over a decade ago now. I mean, it didn't translate well. So, I mean, I love Jarome Iginla. He was my favorite player on the Flames growing up. No doubt about it, there was no second fiddle to Iginla.
Well, and I heard a really good saying the other day that made me think coaches are hired to be fired. So if you want to continue a legacy in some place that you're really loved, like like for example, we still love Lanny McDonald here. He does so much for our community. He does so much for our alumni, but he's never gone near kind of the coaching thing. And I think that's a really good way to keep your legacy intact in your fan base.
Exactly, 100%. I mean, Wayne Gretzky, to me, is kind of tarnished away a little bit of it here lately. I mean, he is the great one. He has the best points record, and, the points will never be touched again, I don't think. But, I mean, he's been a coach, and that didn't work out, and I'm not a fan of his broadcasting on TNT. So, I mean, it's like I say, Iginla, you might want to leave him where he's to as one of the best Flames to ever wear to see, and you might not want to stick him behind the bench.
No, absolutely. I think there's a valid point to that for sure.
Yeah.
But I want to shout out, while I'm thinking about it, how about those Seattle Kraken?
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm impressed with the Kraken. I've got
I'm just loving it.
They're doing great. I've got no bad bones in my body against the Kraken. For some reason, I didn't enjoy when Vegas walked into the league and done well in their first year. I don't know what it was.
Oh, really?
It just didn't sit well with me. I don't know. I guess all these years of growing up and the Flames doing so badly, and all of a sudden Vegas goes to the finals in their first year, it almost felt like a cheat. Right?
Was it because they were branding themselves as the Misfits?
Well, I don't care for. I love an underdog. There's nothing wrong with a good underdog tale. But Seattle sits differently with me. I don't know. I mean, they're a good team. They don't have a lot of superstars, same as Vegas in 2018. I mean, they're just doing what it takes to win games. And I mean, I'm looking forward to see if they beat Dallas. I hope they do. I mean, I also don't like Dallas because of the last two times we did the playoffs, we faced Dallas.
Absolutely.
But
I had the chance, I guess about a month ago, to go down to a Seattle Kraken game, and what a cool atmosphere they've created down there, and what a cool fan base. We were sitting near this group of guys, and they were vocal, and they were like, you know what? We don't know much about hockey, but man, are we here for it, and we want to learn, and we want to support the team, and they were just a great group. Like, it was such a great energy. So I had said, I'm like, if these guys do well in the playoffs, they're going to have such a devoted, excited fan base down there.
100%. No, that's good. It's fun to see.
It is fun to see, because I know the U.S. market gets a little bit of heat for, having a lot of empty seats. And then, the playoffs, I think, so far from what I've seen, the attendance has been pretty good. But I know that's, the regular season games aren't always like that. So.
That's right. Well, they sold out their season tickets in 24 hours or something, or less than 24 hours when they first came into the league.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love it. I saw something, I don't know the validity of it, but I saw that something about all the season tickets that were selling last night after Chicago won the draft lottery.
Yes, no, draft lottery is a good good transition of topic there. I think you should start your own show.
Oh gosh, I just got thinking because I did see something saying that they had a huge increase in season tickets after last night.
No, they sold $2.5 million worth of season tickets last night after Connor Bedard has not officially been drafted by Chicago.
Right.
If you want to flip an organization upside down, don't draft Bedard and see what happens.
Exactly. Well, there's a lot of pushback on that too, right? Some people feel that they should have lost their first-round pick because other teams have for less and whatnot. So I don't know. It's interesting.
It is, yeah. I mean, I had said that way back on the other podcast. I looked for the clip last night, which exact episode that I had said it in. I couldn't find it. But I had said long ago, I said, guaranteed, if Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves are done in Chicago, I said 100% they're getting that first round pick.
Good call.
Should have bought a lottery.
I thought maybe Columbus. I don't know why. I just thought that, maybe I dreamt about him and Gaudreau playing together. I thought that would have been amazing.
It definitely would have been Line A and Gaudreau definitely would have been two good players for them to be put in between. But no, he'll do good in Chicago. I think that they need a fresh start. They need to start from the ground up. They definitely need something like this, right? I mean, Chicago has a good fan base. They've had a good fan base for years. Those 3 Stanley Cups last decade. I mean, they've got a great following. So, I mean, it's good to see America keep going in Chicago after such a horrible last 2-3 years.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, that's right. Chicago won the draft lottery. For those of you that don't know, Anaheim got second, Columbus got third.
Poor Anaheim.
Yeah.
They're always second in the big years, eh?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's good because I am not an Anaheim fan. 2017 and 2018 got me spoiled on them. I could have the years wrong, but it was back-to-back years we played Anaheim, and it was back-to-back years we did nothing against Anaheim.
Yes. I remember when the big media headline was the kids from Calgary are going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And then after I think we beat them second round, and then we didn't do so well.
No, that's right, 100%.
Did you hear that we are getting a new arena in Calgary?
Yes, yeah, I seen that article. That's a good thing. $1.2 billion. That's a lot of money to spend.
It's interesting that it kind of became a political thing because we have a provincial election coming up in a few weeks here, and I think that the timing of the announcement was kind of interesting, but much needed because I think probably everybody around the world has heard the jokes about the Saddle Dome roof, and I think everybody who watches the Flames knows that in the exit interview, Mackenzie Weegar pointedly said we need a new rink.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the running joke that all of a sudden, like 10 days later, it's announced. So I think it just has a magic touch or what. For anybody who's been to Rogers Place in Edmonton, they have a really amazing rink, and they have a really great culture outside of it called the Ice District.
Oh, okay.
And it's just awesome. Like, it's a place where, if you can't afford to be inside the building, you're getting an amazing experience outside the building.
Yeah.
And that's important, right? Because not everyone can afford those tickets. So if you want to take your family down, if you want to do anything like that, and you know what, Calgarians, we have something called the Red Mile, and when playoff time, we flock down there and we support our local pubs and our local restaurants, and we support our hockey team. But to have more of a cultured place where we could be a little bit more family friendly, I think is amazing. Because what kids to go down and cheer on the Jumbotron outside and get into that atmosphere? I mean, So I'm really hoping that the shovels are in the ground sooner rather than later, and we can get that up.
Yeah, no, it's well needed. I mean, the arena is what, 72? It was built, I believe.
For the Olympics, yeah. So that's whenever Calgary hosted the Olympics, I want to say the 80s, but I don't know the exact date.
I think it was 76. I think 1976.
It's crazy to think. And I mean, it's a really cool piece of architecture, right? In the shape of a saddle, and there's so much history there. But, I mean, we now have the Hitmen, we have the Wranglers, we've got the Roughnecks lacrosse team, and then the Flames. So it's getting a little bit crowded for the amazing sports teams we have. Yeah,
no, that's right. And I mean, it's you almost need it now rather than in 5 years, right?
Yeah, and it's sad. There was a deal in place prior to this for one that should have actually almost been half built, but then we had a municipal election in Calgary, and we got a new mayor in, and some parts of the deal didn't quite track with her and what she wanted to do, so the deal was called off.
Yeah.
So it was a little unfortunate, but at least we're kind of back hoping for something now.
No, that's right. Yeah, it's well needed. I really want to get to the Saddle Dome before it's done. I don't know what's on the agenda for this year. I know I'm heading to Florida in July, so I definitely don't think I'll be able to swing up around this season. But I'm hoping by next season I should be able to swing up and get one game in before the Saddledome is closed off.
So you might be going to the home of the Stanley Cup champions this year if you're going to go to Florida.
I'm heading to Orlando, so I'm not going quite
to
south.
Orlando, okay.
Yeah, not South Florida, but no, Orlando is where I'll be spending most of my time.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely come up. I'd love to take you to a game and
that'd be great.
Yeah, I would love to have you guys come up and enjoy the Calgary Flames culture. We're a great group, and we're excited for next year. That's the bottom line. We're looking forward to next year.
Yeah, if I definitely come up, you'll definitely see how Newfie's party.
That's awesome. It's funny, they kind of do, one of the ushers at the Saddledome is just fantastic, and he has this great following, and so he's toured people from Australia, from New Zealand, that have come up simply to meet with him, tour the Dome, and see an NHL game.
Wow.
So it's really neat. Yeah, absolutely. He knows that place backwards, forwards, inside out. Like, nobody can give a tour like he can. So I told him, I'm like, you better get studying for the new place, because we're going to expect the same facts and everything.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's good. So, well, I'm going to move right on to some of the active playoff series. I know we spoke on Florida and Toronto briefly, so I'll pick up right there, and I'll get into the next ones after that. But the Florida-Toronto series, I don't think anybody expected this one to pan out the way it's panning out. Florida up 3-0 in the series against the Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, you're shit panked right now. But if you're anything,
there's quite a few Toronto fans in Calgary, and they're speechless. They just don't know what's going on. They're like, we can't be this cursed.
No, there's definitely something there. No, I mean, if you're anything but a Toronto fan, if you're a fan of any other team, you're loving this right now, because everybody loves to hate on the Leafs. I don't know what it is, what's so tasteful about it, but it's just so fun to see a Leafs fan, I don't know, just cringe. And
So let me ask you this. Do you think if Toronto is eliminated in this round, do you think we're going to see a GM and coaching change there?
Yes, I would assume so. I mean, who else are they going to blame, right? I mean, they've blamed the players for this long. I mean, the players aren't performing this round. I mean, you have Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, and Marner. They have a couple assists, but neither one of them has scored a goal in this series against Florida. And I mean,
exactly.
I mean, you're going to see a player walk, I think. I don't know if you're going to see Matthews walk, but that's the biggest talk, that Matthews would want to walk if they don't do anything this year. But I mean, is Dubas and Shanahan and Keefe, I mean, like, I don't know if you'd clear them all out at one time, but there's definitely some decisions on this, it's not the greatest. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Carl Dubas anyways, because I think that he's just been signing players for way too much money, way before the salary cap was big enough to support their asking prices.
That's definitely a popular theory, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, no, I think you're on to something. I definitely think you'll see somebody in the office change if they get eliminated, especially if they get swept.
Yeah, and I'm not confident they're not going to get swept. To be honest, they came out really hot last game, and I thought, okay, they've got their number, and we know how that turned out.
Nope, they definitely started to, once they scored their 2 goals, they kind of sat back a tiny bit, and they just didn't have the same get up and go that the Florida Panthers had all game.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been some unreal goaltending as well in these series.
Yeah.
It's been, the goaltenders are showing their stuff.
Yeah, no, Bobrovsky has been stellar for Florida. And I mean, despite the series, I mean, Samsonov has been doing well for Toronto. I mean, he's injured now, but
yeah, that was true. too bad.
Yeah, is somebody I know was over watching the game, and their father was FaceTiming them before the game had started, and he had said that because Wayne Simmons was called up right to get some roughness going, and he said Simmons or Shen is going to start something tonight. He said they're going to rock somebody. He said they're going to fight somebody, and I think it was in the period after Samsonov went out. They were FaceTiming again, and I said, when you said Shen was going to beat somebody up, I didn't think you meant their own goalie, but. He said, yeah, I know, I don't even know what to say. He said, I got nothing to come back with.
Just speechless, that's exactly what it is, right?
Yeah,
This might be real for the Maple Leafs, I don't know.
Well, they make fun that they can't win a Game 7. Notice that they eliminated Tampa Bay in 6 games. So technically, Game 1 against Florida was their 7th game of the playoffs, and they've yet to win a game in this series, so maybe the curse is real.
I'm a believer. I think it might be.
Something going on there for sure. I don't know if the Leafs team starts falling apart at this point now. I don't know what you'll see, because there's been so many Leafs fans. They're Leafs fans and Montreal Canadiens fans, right? They're down here. They're just they're in bunches, just like apples. All right. They're everywhere. That's the most popular 2 teams to cheer for down here.
Okay.
And to see this many Leafs fans come out in herds when they put out Tampa Bay, you almost wanted to plug your ears. There was that many of them, and now all of a sudden they're just they're nowhere to be seen.
Yeah,
it's scary, honestly. But I am hoping that there's a sweep. I think it'd be fun to see.
I think it's going to happen. I really do. We're a couple hours from game time, but...
Well, that's I don't know. Toronto plays tomorrow night, right?
Do they?
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah.
There's such a many gaps in this the second round. I can't keep track. And then they moved the one Edmonton game in Vegas, and people were upset because a lot of people from Alberta had gone down there for the Friday night game, and they moved it to Saturday. Yeah. So then they had to change flights to get extra hotel.
Yeah, I know. There's been a lot of switching around. There's been a 3-day gap, really, between, well, if you count the day of the game, I guess, between the games 3 and 4 for Florida and Toronto. It was all over the place for down there, right? It's every second night. That's what everybody's used to, and all of a sudden there's all kinds of changes. But, yeah, they play tomorrow night. Carolina and New Jersey play at the 8:30 slot here.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So that's 8:30.
I'm actually surprised by New Jersey's last game. I thought Carolina, because the first, Carolina came out strong in the first 2 games.
Well, see, the same thing happened with the Rangers in the first round. New Jersey walked into the playoffs. Everybody had said, well, I think the Rangers will still win. And, a lot of people had said it was going to go to 6 or 7 games. And, I thought the same thing. I said, definitely 6. And the Rangers come out 5-1 in games 1 and 2, and I had said, "Oh boy, New Jersey is cooked here."
Yeah.
And nope, they tied the series up. They went ahead 3-2, and they ended up winning in Game 7. So New Jersey is not to be underestimated.
Well, that's true.
And they just done the exact. Well, we don't know if they tie the series up tonight. Yes, they've done the exact same thing again. But they lost both games 1 and 2 horribly, and now all of a sudden they kick ass in game 3, and there's an expectancy for them to do the same thing tonight. Right.
Well, what about this yo-yo we're on with Edmonton and Vegas?
Yeah, no, that's right. I don't like the Oilers as much as any other Calgary Flames fan doesn't like the Oilers. But I think that at some point McDavid is definitely due for a Stanley Cup, looking at how good of a player he is, right? So, I got no issue if Edmonton wins the Cup, or if they ever win the Cup. I just don't want them to, if that makes sense.
That does, and I think you can't even, how do you look at just their team? They've got Draisaitl, who's just like a machine.
Yeah.
He's a machine. Him and McDavid are machines out there, and then they've got, they're great supporting characters like Hyman, and even Stuart Skinner for the most part is has been fantastic because they've struggled with goaltending so much, and they bring in Campbell as their answer, and that didn't quite go as they thought this year.
No, that didn't pan out.
So, I mean, but I was very surprised to see the score last night being 5-1 Vegas, because I thought in Game 2 when Edmonton really dominated, I thought, okay, that's it, they're going to go. But, I mean, I guess, Vegas doesn't take near any penalties.
No. The momentum is definitely swinging back and forth a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would be surprised if it didn't go to a Game 7.
It might very well. And you know what? This is one of the best series, honestly, to watch this round. I mean, I like seeing Florida dominate Toronto, but it's not as entertaining hockey as this Oilers-Vegas series is.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? No, I mean, Draisaitl's got 15 goals in well, he had it in 8 games because he didn't score last night, but he has 15 goals in 9 games.
And I feel like when they come out for Game 4, they're going to come out on a mission again like they did in Game 2.
Yeah, I can definitely see it being a tie series, yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, because, like, McDavid, I think he's like Michael Jordan. He takes it very personally when things like this don't go his way. He just takes himself to a whole other level.
No, you're right on that. I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl, they now sit in points per game right next to Gretzky and Lemieux for the top 4 best players to ever play in the playoffs in the NHL history. I mean,
that's incredible.
It's unfathomable to even think about, and to think that Edmonton has only ever made it to the Western Conference Finals once and got put out in 5 games. I mean, they've got this great point percentage, and it's just, it's crazy they don't have anything to show for it.
Yeah, we need something in Canada. We're due in Canada for at least a finals.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Montreal is the only Canadian team that's been in the finals in the last 10 years. And, I mean, a lot of people don't even like to consider that year a good year for NHL altogether. That was the year that was all Canadian conference.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think Edmonton has the best chance out of all 7 Canadian teams to win a Stanley Cup for Canada, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's hard to say as a Calgary Flames fan. I mean, a lot of Flames fans will boo and probably click off the video right now. But
I know it's true though. It really is, and we see it here. We know, we're like, oh my gosh, like we saw what they did to us last year physically. Like they own that series. Even the first games last year, I mean, we went up to 8 or 9 goals, but they came right back up. Like we didn't. That game was just out of hand.
Yeah, it was. I stayed up and watched all the games. I mean, we're looking at the double overtime there with Dallas and Calgary in Game 7. I mean, I was up till 2:30 in the morning and I had to work at 8 in the next morning. Right? Like, I'm up and I'm here, like, yelling at the TV, and I'm like, I should probably not be yelling this loud, but, like, holy crap, they better win.
Well, freaking Ottinger was just brick wall in that series, right?
Yeah. He was nuts, and he's a great goalie.
It was tough to watch Gaudreau lead after that because, I mean, we couldn't score goals this year, We really couldn't.
No.
How many one-goal games did we lose? How many overtimes did we lose?
Yeah, too many. Our overtime record was like 6-16 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's awful.
So, I mean, we weren't getting clean-cut beat every game, but we weren't certainly good enough. I mean, I remember right before the season started, we were in Vegas for a game, and somebody from Toronto was there as well, and they said to us, it's our Flames shirts or whatever, and they said, you guys are going to be unstoppable this year. And we felt it too. We're like, we got Kadri, we're going. Yeah. And so, I mean,
it just didn't pan out. No, 100%.
Not even close.
No. Yeah, it's been a hell of a year, I tell you. And these playoffs, I mean, the road team is winning the most of the time too, right? That's something that's never ever happened. They've already surpassed the road wins this year in the playoffs compared to last year. Like, the road team is like 37-24 or something.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that wasn't fantastic for us, we started at home with that homestand this year. And I know, it's not an excuse, but I know the year before they went right out on the road right away. They get their team building in, they get all that, and to be able to for that long was, I don't think we've had that in a long time.
No, for sure. It was a different year. It just didn't feel right halfway through.
No, I remember you even talking to me last summer, and you said it's going to take them a while. Like, I expect the first half to be, rough.
Yeah.
And then we got to the second half, and it was still rough.
Yeah, I was half right. There's nothing wrong with being half right.
Hey, you know what? You were more realistic than most.
I find that bad mostly in Toronto Maple Leafs fans, honestly. But being a part of the Calgary Flames fan group on Facebook with like 25,000 members, there's a lot of people in Calgary too that kind of just like look forward and they're like, yeah, we're gonna win everything, and it's like, I don't understand. You got to be realistic as a hockey fan. I mean, you get disappointed just as much as a realistic one. But I mean, you look at this year, and this is a year that's going to take this team to group together. I mean, there's friendships that are building in Calgary with the team, and that you need that, right? You need your players to get along on and off the ice. I mean, you've got Lucic, Uyghur, and Toffoli. They're all gone playing for Team Canada, right?
Yeah.
Toffoli got the captaincy actually for that team, and Uyghur and Milan are both alternates. So I mean, that kind of thing there, that's going to keep this team together, right? I mean, I know Lucic, a lot of people want to see him gone, they want to see him off the team, but I think Lucic brings something to this team that a lot of people don't realize how good he is to the locker room.
And it's actually really interesting. So our Wranglers, our AHL team, are doing really, really well. And it was kind of funny because Lucic went out and joined them in a practice a week or two ago.
Okay. Just
to get out, get skating, keep in shape. And he just went out and skated with them. And he's been at before he went down to where he is now, he was going to the games and supporting them. And it was really nice. Like, he's such a cute, just a supportive guy, and a lot of people look up to him as a mentor.
No, yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think I would like to see him retire as a Flame, honestly, because he might not score a lot, and he might not throw his body weight around like he did when he was with Boston, but he's definitely something for this team that a lot of people don't realize how good he is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's just about everything, really. The only thing I didn't touch on in the Carolina Devils series was how the Hughes brothers are doing really well. Jack Hughes is a phenomenal player as it is, but when you see his brother Luke come up and get 2 assists in the game, right? I mean, those guys are going to be unstoppable together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean, Quinn. Yeah, if Quinn doesn't like it in Vancouver, or I should say if Vancouver doesn't succeed and Quinn wants out at the end of his contract, I could definitely see all 3 Hughes brothers in New Jersey.
That would be amazing. I think that would just be fantastic.
Yeah, I think that New Jersey.
I mean, who knows what's going on in Vancouver? So.
No, anything but good in Vancouver, or so it seems. As a Flames fan, I'm going to say perfect.
Yeah, that's right. We took a lot of their key players, and I hope Markstrom comes back next year with Markstrom we saw last year.
Yeah, that's right.
I hope they all do, actually.
Well, yeah. Hopefully we get a better year. Hopefully we get what it was like last season, next season.
That's right. We're gonna be positive. We're gonna get a great GM coach announcement. We're going to get a captain. We're going to move forward.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm just hoping. I'm hoping at least a playoff berth. For God's sakes, get us in the playoffs.
That's exactly it. Just get us there.
I don't need the stress of watching games and watching them lose 3-2 and 4-3 and then 2-1 and then 1-0. And
well, exactly. And then to teams like Chicago when you're fighting for the last wildcard spot.
Chicago.
That's tough.
Yeah, that was a pitiful loss.
It was.
You must be getting close to your destination.
I am. I'm about 40 minutes away.
That's not bad at all.
Great. It kept me nice and busy and entertained. I loved it.
Yeah, but there you go. Now you got to turn on your playlist and listen to some music on the way home. But it's definitely not as good as chatting hockey.
Okay. No, not near as good. And it's on our list to get down and visit you guys probably next year.
Oh,
So
definitely. If you ever come down this way, you definitely shoot me a message, and
I will.
I'll try to get as much time off as I can, and I'll be your personalized tour guide.
Oh, fantastic! I look forward to it.
All right, I appreciate you
Awesome.
for taking
No
on this
problem.
phone call and taking the time out of your day, your busy day, to
Betcha.
come on to CHOW.
Great. We'll chat soon.
All right, thanks.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. CHOW.